Inside Visual Studio, let's revisit the project that we've been working with. First off, I'll just paste some code into our global.asix file after our application start event. This code is really simple. All we are doing is creating handler methods for some of the events in the application lifecycle. I've just chosen the ones that are more important based on what we discussed in the slides. So to assign methods for these events, we just type the word application followed by an underscore and then the name of the event. So let's set a breakpoint inside each one so that we can step through them one at a time. Let's also jump over to our home controller for a moment. Inside this class, let's set a breakpoint inside of our index action method. This will allow us to see when this method fires in relation to the application lifecycle events. Now, one last thing I did was just to comment out the script and CSS references in our layout file temporarily. And this is just to make sure our application only makes one HTTP request when it first runs. So with all that in place, let's go ahead and run our application. And right away, we'll see that we hit the begin request event, and our code will write a line for that. Now, I want to note one important thing. Down in our watch window, we can add an entry for the current application instance. This will allow us to see what HTTP handler is assigned for the current request. And you can see right now that it's null, and this is what we would expect at this stage in the lifecycle. If we hit continue again, we'll jump down into the map request handler method. Notice now that in our watch window, the MVC handler has been assigned for the current request. The URL routing module has executed and selected that handler for us. If we continue again, we'll step down into the post map request handler event. This event can actually be used to change the current HTTP handler now that it's been mapped, but we won't get into that right now. Let's hit continue again, and we'll jump inside of the acquire request state event. The main thing I just want to note here is that, like we said in the slides, our MVC handler still hasn't executed yet. It's only been assigned. We can quickly change that though. Let's hit continue again to move into the pre-request handler execute method. This fires right before the MVC handler executes. If we hit continue one more time, you'll see we actually jump over to our controller action method. So this is where most of the MVC that you know and love will execute. If we hit continue again, we'll jump back down into the ASP.NET request events now that that handler has executed. From here, we can just continue on to the end of the application, and that ends our mini tour of the request lifecycle. There are still a lot of additional steps we'll explore later on, specifically surrounding the MVC handler selection and execution. We could have also hooked into the logging event or other methods to add functionality before the end here, but we'll look at that a bit more in the next lesson.